You're watching the Business Channel, creating business class programs.
Avanti are an international award-winning design consultancy with a head office in central London. We work across both the public and the private sectors, providing advisory services but also in delivery of projects. Our reputation is built on innovation. We've worked on a number of UK first projects which have redefined their building sectors and looked at creating new working practices and a new building type. One of the challenges we have more recently is dealing with international markets and against the backdrop of rising fuel prices, depleted resources and seeking to improve our urban environments. We're here today at New London Architecture. This is the centre of much of the debate that's taken place on the built environment. More recently, this has been about reducing energy consumption, both in the new buildings and also in existing infrastructure.
Within the energy efficiency drive within the industry, we have seen for a long time that it was focused mainly on the mechanical and engineering side of elements. We have realized that we need to incorporate also the functional use, both the current and the projected one for the future, into that assessment. To make that possible, we have teamed up with consulting engineers Helen Kirkwood and created the carbon surgery. The carbon surgery is unique as it allows clients to receive a balanced and well-considered report and analysis at an early stage in the review process of their estate. One of the major benefits for estate managers is that the express report makes it possible for them to decide where to focus their efforts. For example, instead of upgrading a building which might be knocked down in 5 or 10 years due to functional redundancy, they focus on a building that will be there for another 50 years.
As architects, we deal with both new buildings and refurbishment projects, and they require different strategies to try and reduce their carbon content. It is simpler with new buildings, but also there are many things that we could do in terms of retrofitting solutions into existing buildings. One of the changes that we've seen over the last 5 years has been the growing awareness and culture of measurement, of setting targets and raising standards. And this is partly about going back and looking at projects and seeing how they're occupied. For example, a project in Hackney, Hackney Free and Parochial School.
One of our current projects, which is a new secondary school in inner London. It's on a noisy and very constrained inner London site. And we've designed the footprint and we've developed the envelope to allow good natural ventilation. The full-height windows that we've got on the facade, they get light deep into the classrooms and they minimise electricity usage. We integrate these into the scheme very early on. On this scheme, for instance, the external louvers, we've used them as a way to introduce colour into the design of the building, both inside and out. And the exposed concrete soffits that we've got in all the classrooms, that sort of helped to generate the slightly industrial aesthetic that we have in all the interiors and gives the interiors a little bit of texture as well.
In order to address climate change, one of the fundamentals is trying to reduce our carbon emissions. Buildings contribute a huge amount to this area, and as architects we are responsible for working out solutions to try and reduce our energy consumption.
We generally take a three-tier step-down approach to sustainable design. First of all, we look at the passive aspects of the building, so orientation, footprint, and actually the fabric itself. Then we look at active measures, and then finally we look at renewable energy, renewables.
The carbon reduction commitment has changed its position within the legislative framework, as the government is now aiming to introduce further measures making it possible to finance the aspects that are needed for this CRC and at the same time increasing the penalty aspects. For businesses, this means that unless they invest in carbon reduction measures soon, they will not be able to actually implement any positive changes due to the penalties that will ramp up over time.
One of the bits of advice I think we would give to policymakers is it's probably about stick and carrot. It's a balance between the two, between regulation and incentives. It's about making a very simple regulatory system, one that is quick and effective, and really we have to act quickly because there isn't much time. At the heart of lowering carbon emissions, it's about providing innovation, flexibility and adaptability, and a sustainable approach. And Avanti provide all those aspects.